Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Having a little technical difficulties over here in Fifth Quarter Sports podcast, but we gonna get this thing going. We gonna make sure y'all have some fun, and we gonna figure this thing out tonight. Hey, you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir? We can get a little intro here. Waiting on somebody. I guess our fearless moderator has snuck off on a trip for his honeymoon, which I congratulate him on that. We have a great special guest tonight,
Congrats, kid.
homeboy man, Cameron Daly. He will be on in just a few minutes. I'm going to click him on in. We're going to get this thing started with a couple of questions with him and Coach A. Killer Cam, what's
What's
going
going
on,
on?
brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm well, brother. How about you?
I'm doing blessed, man. Blessed to have you on the show.
Man, I
Cam, let's
appreciate
Coach
you having me.
A. Let's
What's
Coach
going on, man?
A
How you
right
doing?
there.
All right, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. Good.
Good.
And bless Cam, we're gonna get right into it because I know I got 30 minutes of your time.
Yeah, my bad for being a little late. I was in a workout, man.
Yeah, I understand, man, and I want you to introduce yourself to the world here and let everybody know exactly who you are, what you do,
All right.
what you plan on doing, and everything you've been doing in the youth sports world of high school basketball and youth basketball, really.
Yeah, everything, man. So, man, I've been blessed to do what I've been doing now for about 10 to 15 years. Um, working with Douglas County High School, other high schools. I coached there. Did the AAU route. Played all different levels. Been coaching and training. So I train. If you got a baby coming up and can dribble the ball, I train it from the babies all the way to pro players. So seen it all, been around the world with this game of basketball. I know what sports can do for people, but I just think sometimes people right now in today's day and age, we're kind of looking at youth sports as more of the money making aspect instead of trying to teach kids life lessons through sports to further everything else that's going on with their lives. I think a lot of parents now are, kind of living their dreams through their kids, which is not right. So I've been doing this for a long time. Every story you might imagine, I could tell on this podcast is like amazing, from the good to the bad to the even worse and ugly. So I've been doing this, man. Training right now. I'm working for Elite Hoops Basketball, Nike Basketball. I've been doing this now, running my facility up here in Alpharetta for 6 years. We got facilities here, Chamblee and Flowery Branch. We do Nike camps in the summertime. So, like right now, I got 300 kids that come through my door on a week-to-week basis, just training. And I got, my pro guys, my college guys come through here too. So that's about it for me, man. Played at Westlake High School. Love it. Love the area. Man, it's just basketball has been good to me, man. So I'm in return trying to give it to the youth and other people so it can be good to them.
Now, Cam, that's Coach A. Coach A coaches a youth league football team along with Coach Howard and Lambeau Lemview. They are national champions. They have been undefeated for the last 3 years. And they travel around kicking butt. And like I spoke with you earlier, I wanted you to share your experiences when you're training these elite type kids, like you said, from babies all the way up now, the experience that you have had with some of these athletes and some of the ones that you have trained to go on to college and
Mm-hmm.
bigger things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one for me is, I know like me and you has talked about earlier a lot, like I think kids should play all sports. I think they should get a chance because, track, I think, helps football players out. Basketball helps kids who play football. They're just a little more physical. Um, so being able to play all sports and kind of figure it out, something I don't think we do in the Black community is, a lot of us don't look at baseball. There are a lot of positions with baseball. And it's great with hand-eye coordination. Yeah, and it's a lot of money. Like I think sports are wide open. I hate when it comes down to kids, especially in high school, where coaches are like, hey, you can't play football because we need you during basketball season, or you can't play basketball because all is going on. I just need you to do this. And what happens is some of these kids get oversaturated with that one sport. And I see a lot of kids burn out. And by the time they getting ready to go to college, they don't want to play these sports anymore because they're not allowed to be kids, man. And that also comes with just like the way of the world right now, man. Like everybody thinks, okay, my son's 6'7", and he's going to be this star basketball LeBron James. But man, your son could run routes and catch as a tight end and go through college, and have a degree instead of you worrying about, them playing NBA or he's just going to be that, because some of these kids ain't going to be it. It's just because he's tall don't mean he's going to be a football or basketball or baseball player. Like, let these kids kind of figure it out. And that's something we don't do as the adults. Everything I've been on, I say this in all my podcasts, everything I've been on talking to people, our generation is kind of generation that messed up for this generation. And the reason I say that is because, with the basketball, I'll just go by this. People always say, well, man, these kids, they play crazy. They do this, they do that, they do this. But us three on here know back in the day when we were playing basketball, you could go to any park and you play against some grown men and you learn how to play the game because they taught you. We didn't do that for this generation. I train, I get it. But I also tell my kids, you got to go play too. Because what I'm teaching you, you got to try and do it in every setting because you got to see do these moves work or not. And I just think people just try and get caught up in those things and saying, hey, my kid's only going to be a football player. But what other chances might he have if he play football, basketball, and baseball? You never know he gets a ride in, and he could get a scholarship in baseball and go to the college, and they're saying like, hey, you got football experience. We want you to walk on. You might get more money. You just never know. But a lot of the high school coaches and stuff, some do a great job and then some don't of being able to speak that culture or getting mad at the basketball coach for, watching a football player and be like, hey, come out for the team. We could use you, or vice versa. Like a football coach going to basketball practice and coaches are like, I don't want them to play that sport because they might get hurt. You can get hurt in any sport. What are we talking about here? Let the kids play. So that's just my take on some of it.
So would you, just for like a, say for instance, a highly touted basketball recruit coming into college, for example, I have a kid who played Little League football in the Atlanta City area, who's now a freshman, I think, at USC. His name is Isaiah Collier.
Yep.
He plays out there. So for a player that's highly touted like that, or Bronny, so to speak, something like that, would you still recommend more than one sport? And I know we've had people like Russell Wilson who played baseball, football, we've had, so how do you feel about those highly touted players? Like, is it good to just concentrate on that, or is it still okay to do both?
Yeah, a top 50 kid in Isaiah Collier, we all know he's gonna at some point play in the NBA, whether it's next year or the year after. So a lot of those guys, like the top 50 guys, top 25 guys, they probably not gonna do another sport just for the simple fact that he's like a guy like Isaiah Collier who commits to USC. USC ain't gonna say, you can play baseball because they're gonna be like, nah, you don't need to get injured this time.
Right.
You can come here. Because also, it has a youth football coach like 25, the top 25 in football, the top 100 kids. Now, we got those kids who graduate early and they leave. Like when I was coaching in Douglas County, we had a kid who committed to UGA, and he wanted to stay and play basketball, but 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 3 games into the season, they were like, nah, you got to get ready to go in December. So he couldn't play basketball for us anymore. And it kind of hurt us, but us not being selfish to say, nah, we need you to stay because we're trying to win a state title. Like, nah, we understand because that's your meal ticket right there. So I'm not gonna have you play this other sport. So yeah, for those guys. But for a kid who you don't know, and I don't have it. Like I know a kid who like they played basketball for 3 years, didn't have any offers their senior year. They're like, I'm about to go off of football, see if I can catch somebody in this wide receiver route. You know,
Right. Right.
you should have been playing anyway, like because
Yeah. Yeah.
you 6'3".
Right.
Figure it out, but because don't put all your eggs into that one basket with
One
basketball,
back. Right. Right.
especially it's 12
And
kids. Like,
yeah. So Cam, you ever with you training, like I say, we talked about this 6 years ago when you told me you was gonna get into this. And I was like, everybody was telling me, not just you, another one of my guys told me it's not coaching these at these schools anymore. It's about training these kids. So, at the end of the day, what have you been able to like identify with these kids and let a parent know? Because I know you've had some back and forth, like, hey, listen,
mhm.
this is where I got this kid at. Maybe he needs to come back and get another year of my training and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, one is, I think is a part misconception with trainers that they 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 think that like I can just go train with anybody. Like for me, for example, I've trained a lot of people, pros, like I said, down to kids and stuff like that. Um, you got to stick with that person for a while who's training you because you never know how what they're trying to do
Mhm.
go for you. That's
Mhm.
like, in the football realm, let's just say, like one of my good friends, Anthony Mitchell. He played for the Ravens. Does a lot of track stuff with the kids. He's trying to work on their speed. But you can't go to him on a Monday and Tuesday, and then you go to somebody else on the Wednesday, Thursday, go back
Yes.
to somebody else on the Saturday, Sunday, then you go back to N on Monday and Tuesday. Like
Yes.
I tell people all the time, that's like you building a used car. You got a Mercedes Benz frame, and you got BMW, Audi, Toyota, and all these other parts in it. And the kid, when they get to playing, they don't know what route to do anymore or go.
Mhm.
So like you just got to look at like some stuff like that and figure it out. So give these guys 6 months, but also the misconception as trainers and people who do it, don't try and tell your story on kids you've had who like, okay, I sent this kid here. This is why you should come to me. You don't know if that kid built like them kids you sent somewhere else.
Mhm.
So what do we? Nah, if you give me a chance, he'll have a chance to do something. But don't promise everything under the sun. Like, don't take videos of you in the gym. Like thing for me, and people be like, Cam, you an old dinosaur in this game. I don't I don't film my stuff. I don't have it all over social media with me doing all my drills and stuff because I'm trying to get other people to come in the gym with me because I want to just make this money. Like if you're gonna work out with me, it's gonna be like on some fundamental stuff. I'm gonna teach you this game, show you what I love, and hopefully we do something with it. But I can't promise you anything. I can't promise you UNC gonna come in. I've had kids I've trained with the University of North Carolina. I've had kids I've trained went to Auburn. I've had kids I've trained, like go to a Tuskegee or a Morehouse. And nothing about that makes me like, oh, well, I talk all about the kids who went to Carolina, get all these other kids. No, I'm proud of all my kids who go on to school because they got an education, they're getting it for free. What you do with it when you go there is something totally different, but you never know if you're good enough. They can find you anywhere, especially with the way computers and social media and everything. Like all you got to do is have a good game, or you catch a good dunk in a game, and all of a sudden it's on Sports Center. Everybody and their mom start coming to watch you play. So you know, y'all crazy, man. Um, that's what we're looking at. And I tell parents all the time, if you're gonna come to me, trust me, you got to give me 6 months. And if you don't like what I'm doing after 6 months, then I'm fine with you leaving. Also, don't come in here and walk up to me and be like, hey, coach, I want you to work on this, and this with this kid because I just feel it. Do I come to your job and tell you how you should type on your computer? Or do I come to your house when your wife or your husband cooking dinner and telling him, no, it should be this way? Let me do what I need to do in what I have going on. Because I got a plan too. I just ain't no fly by night dude.
Mhm.
That's a good deal. Now, what do you, as D said, you work with all ages. What age, do you enjoy working with the most? The little babies to where you molding them up, or
Yep.
do you like working with the older age groups that's already kind of polished and just need a little fine tuning?
I love it all, but let me tell you something, man. I love somebody who comes in here and has no understanding of the game, so I can help them get like understand the game and everything like that, like building them up. But I'm also not going to, a lot of people now in today's culture and society, we feel like when we're training or coaching, like we kind of own that player or that kid,
Right.
and we want to get all the hoopla. Like that's my kid. Man, that's everybody kid. Really, it's the parents' kid.
Yeah.
They got all that from them. We're helping do it, and that I don't own this kid. Like now, with the way youth sports are, everybody wants to own somebody, or everybody wants. If I didn't get where I needed to be, I need to chase behind this kid. And when they're going, I'm getting ready to go because that's my meal ticket. So I just love training the younger kids all the time because they're a sponge and they're soaking it up. And for the polished dudes, like my pro guys coming here, I tell those guys like, hey, I might show you something, to help build to bring your career like 2 or 3 more years after what it already is. But a lot of the stuff you already got, so we just like, going over some stuff and a lot of reps to help them stay sharp. That's it. I didn't, if I got LeBron in the gym and he goes down and does something in the game, I ain't putting it all over my social media and saying I had him do that. No, I was just in the gym rebounding with him and showed him 1 or 2 things, but that's all him.
LeBron James.
We have a LeBron James fan. Don't pay no.
Okay. Like I see. Well, I'll tell about some kids you train or coach. Man, it's a long list. I got a kid, TJ Dunnins, went to Auburn. I coached and trained. Currently playing overseas. Went to ML King, played for me at post grad. Brandon Robinson was at North Carolina. I trained a kid right now, Christian Keelan, who just left. He was at Carolina. He's playing in Macedonia. Man, I got a bunch of. I mean, it's like.
You've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I've had guys come in the gym like, and some guys I can't say who they are because they want to, have it quiet and don't know. I got guys who, who come in here to this gym in the summertime, but we work out at 6 a.m. so nobody really knows. A kid that I love to death, Nate Mason, played at Shiloh. Let me see. Al Durham played at Providence. He's playing overseas now. It's like a who's who in Atlanta because everybody knows, like, if you're one of those guys, at some point you're gonna put your hands on everybody in the city. At some point, they're gonna be around you.
So even so, Cam, I remember like everybody's not going to make it to the NBA. Everybody's not going to play D1. And I had a guy that I worked with, Lorenzo Hall. He played at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
And Zoe tripped me out when he said he went overseas and played. And he had a good career over there, made a lot of change or whatever. And so some of the guys that you do come in contact with, do you let them know those are some of the opportunities when they get to that level and let them know? Because everybody's not going to be a top 10 pick or get picked in the NBA. It's only 2 rounds. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I let everybody know. It's funny because, like when we were kids, everybody who knows it, you look at it and say, I want to go to the NBA or I want to go to the NFL and all this other stuff like that. You asking about that and you trying to do it. And when people used to tell us, man, like you can't do it or anything like this, I don't like to tell people you can't do it, but you also got to look at how far is this game going to go. Because all the high school kids I talk to, coming here and train, I'm going to go to the NBA. I'm going to have this big old career. I'm going to be this all-star and all sorts of things like that. Like, man, go to school, get a degree, or even if you don't get a degree, go figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. There is a possibility for you to go overseas. But what I tell people too is like, all right, everybody now, okay, I make the NBA, I want to go overseas. Well, can you be somewhere for 9 months away from your family? The time difference, you're playing a game you love, but you're also in another country. So what do these people say? Well, this month we're supposed to pay you $3,000. We only got $1,000 to pay you. Like, What do you think about there? You can't sue because you're not a citizen of that country. You know, it's whatever their laws are. And a lot of the times in Europe and South America and everything like this, you know, sometimes you playing for these teams that the mafia owned or the cartel. So they could care less what you think. It's either hey, well, we ain't gonna pay you at all, because everybody's heard horror stories and everybody's heard great stories. Like, you know, I got a chance to go over there for a little bit, loved it. I would tell anybody, you know, if you get to travel the world and you get to play, go do it and just see. You know, you might play 1 year and understand you don't like it. You might play 15 years and love it, but don't put all your this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a NBA player. If nothing else works out, then what? What happens? And then, you know, they got to figure out what can they do, because, you know, for example, let me tell you a story for me, and I tell this to people a lot. All right, when I was going into the 11th grade, we went to this tournament. I might be going to 10th grade. I forgot what grade I was going into. It was 10th or 11th. And, you know, I played on the team of Al Outlaw, Georgia Trojans, was one of the best teams back in our day. And I'm probably telling my age now, but I don't care. So, you know, we came number 2 overall in the AAU realm, which all these teams are in Winston-Salem. But we had a tournament earlier on in one of our years anyway. So we were in Virginia playing. And you know, I had a great career, was top 10 in Georgia coming out of high school, you know, dropped almost close to 60 points in a game. You know, had everybody and their mom. But one thing I can tell these kids is, you know, because everybody was pumping me up, man, I ain't really care about my grades, man. And it slipped, because when it was time for me in these schools, Florida came in, Clemson, you name it, Syracuse, Notre Dame, all these people recruiting me. Indiana, they start looking at my grades. They like, woo, boy, you might have to go to junior college first, or you got to come to school in Prop 48, which they don't do that anymore. So, for short, this dude is like, he's killing our team. And I go in the game because my coach is like, you got to try and check him. So this dude's killing me. He goes for like 10 straight points on me. And I was looked at the coach like, hey, either we go zone or like take me out the game, because this dude's cooking me. So I come back home and tell my dad, man, I always thought I was a pro NBA player, but I got a lot to work on. And the dude I was guarding was Allen Iverson. So you know.
Oh, hell no.
It's dudes you know.
Yeah,
He cooked me, boy. I scrambled eggs and cheese, boy, put a little black pepper on that. Yeah, so it's dudes you know who you play with, and you're like, okay, he going to the NBA, NFL, whatever. Like, you know that. Unless something happens to him or he just messes it all up, that's a pro player. You know them dudes. You see them dudes. You know what I'm saying? And you look at it, and you know, I knew at that point, like, all right, I got to figure out how I can make it there and get to his level. Or I know I'm not like of that stature to play in the NBA. But I still had that dream like everybody does, but you gotta be real. Like, some of these kids who have that dream, I'm trust me, I'm not trying to kill your career. But if you average 6.5 in high school and you still saying I'm gonna go to the NBA.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Mr. Crazy.
Yeah. So like it's just you at some point you got to be real with yourself, and some of the kids aren't, and then some of the parents aren't real with it. And I got a chance to see it. Like I said earlier, I got to go overseas and play for a little bit, and I got to see the difference in the way of the world and thinking over there than the way of the world here. You know, everybody talks about why is Europe getting better than us in basketball, but we gave Europe the game plan for how to play this game. But see, what happened is we started getting to the money side of it and just throw the ball out and see how much money we can make off these things. They got down to the fundamental part that we're missing, because now, you know, if you go into a gym and some dude's just working on footwork and like, they're not even doing layups, they're working on footwork and ball handling, that parent's going to like, let's go somewhere else. in Europe, them young kids do that 3 times a day, where they don't even get to play until the last part. They are, they are in the mornings doing footwork and fundamental stuff and passing. In midday, they're doing shooting and other things like that, and then they put all that together to play. And they do 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 4-on-4. What do? 5-on-5, and just throw the ball out there and sit back and watch them do whatever. Yeah. So we're at fault for that, you know. And with the youth sports, it's become more of, okay, let me have this tournament. Let me see how many teams I can get to come, and then let me see how much money I can charge, where it's just over the top, where parents won't pay it, and then I'll go back down. But it's so crazy to me that right now in America, I'm walking into a gym, and if I bring my son is playing, and I bring my 2 girls, or my girlfriend, and everything else, and we go, it's $100 or $125 for me to walk inside this gym.
Yeah, $20 per piece.
And then you want me to come back the next day and pay the same thing? Like, who are we hurting here? Because there are people in this youth world right now who don't even work a job no more. They make money off of youth sports.
So true.
Plain and simple.
Don't care about like how many teams I can help to get in this event. How can I help the parents? Somebody get in here. It's just, hey, I'm gonna have 100 teams. I'm gonna charge 20 a head. I'm gonna get concessions, and I'm gonna go on about my way and do it next weekend somewhere else, and just keep on doing it. Now there are guys who do it the right way. Sean Williams and my Corey Black and those guys, like they do it and they try and help out. And some other guys too in Atlanta. But then there are also guys, like anything else, they look at it and think it's easy, and then this is a money train for me. Like, I could care less. I'm putting this great team against this team. I don't care how the score is 100-6. I want to make my money. And then we have youth coaches who all they're doing is trying to gain wins under their belt. They're not teaching these kids how to play. Because for me, if you're pressing in a 8U, 9U, 10U, 11U game, I get it. You're trying to win. But if you're up 60-0 and you're still pressing, at the end of the day, who you hurting? It's 2 people you're hurting here. You're hurting them kids on the other end.
Yes.
Right? And you're also hurting your kids too. Because see, what happens is when your kids don't learn how to play half-court defense, when they play that team that can break that press, and then all of a sudden they're up 60-2, then you're that coach sitting there looking at the other coach asking, dang, I wish he would calm the score down. You getting skint now. What you gonna do?
Yes, sir.
So teach these kids, because like, okay, I get it, man. Let's not put on the wristbands. Like, I got to guard that red color wristband and I got to do this. Like, teach them the game, but let's coach them. Because once again, some of these people are getting into youth sports to make the money. Care less about what I'm teaching these kids, because if the parent's going to pay me $500 per kid, and then these fees are going up the roof. If they're going to pay me that, and then I can go to these couple of tournaments and just pay this little bit of money, like at the end of the day, I'm walking home with some money in my pocket. So we've all just come to that. And I get it. I'm not mad at you, but like, for me, I want to do things the right way, because at the end of the day, the game is going backwards to me instead of going forwards. Mm-hmm. And it's because so many people want to jump into it. Like, okay, for example, when I was coming up, we had like maybe 7 or 8 AAU teams in Georgia. And like, if you didn't make one of them, you knew I got to go home and get better to try out for this team again. Now we got, just down the street from me and coming back up here, we got 400 teams in this one little area. So if Jimmy get cut from this team, Jimmy go play at that team. And if he can't make it that team, then his dad brings up a team with his friends in the neighborhood who can't play dead, and then they play on the team.
Now I know that speaking of, just piggybacking off of that, I know that the AAU scene, now is nowhere near like what it was, So just speak on that for me, for the younger ages and the older.
Okay. I mean, it was okay. When I first got to AAU, it was ninth grade, and I went to Burdette, and
That's right. Yeah, I tried out for Burdette.
Hey, it's about 400 kids in there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Man, so I went in there and I was like, I told my dad, I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to go through with this. Like, I know I can make the team, but man, it's just too much going on in here. You know what I'm saying? So let me just go, go back and play, be around my friends. So we went back to Bird at my 10th grade year and we were playing. And Lindsey Davis saw me and said, hey, I need you to try out this summer. And I said, all right, I'm gonna try out. So I started playing with them, and Al Outlaw became like a second dad to me. And really had me like, I tell my kids this and they laugh at me. And I tell my kids I train this. Man, I didn't go to prom. I didn't know what prom was. Like my junior year, I was in the gym with Law when our prom was going on. I was in the gym shooting. He was like, man, you can go to prom you want to, or you want to get better. Shoot, I want to get better. I can care less about, being in the tux and taking my girlfriend out, who I probably won't ever see again, in the limousine, wasting my folks' money. I'm in the gym with you. I did it again my 12th grade year. And the amount of letters and stuff and the people who were recruiting me, if I would have took school more serious than I did, who knows what route, because I was gonna get ready to commit to Clemson. And I was gonna sit out my first year because I was gonna be a Prop 48 because of my grades. Georgia State wanted me like crazy, but I just said, man, I can't stay in the city any longer. Like, I got to get away and get out. So like 400 kids tried out for one team, and it was a 3-day tryout. By Saturday, they knew what 12 kids they were keeping, and it was 2 teams per age group, 12 and under, 14 under, 16 under, and then they had 18 and under, and then they had 19 and under, So they had all those age groups. Yeah, they had all those age groups, but it was Law kept 2 teams per group, 12 guys. So 24 dudes per age group. Now it is like so many teams that you can't really get the full gist of how good kids really are, because there are 400 teams and kids are jumping team here, this team, that team. Teams are asking guys. It's like all over the place. But we've gotten here now, and I ask people all the time, what can we do to get it back? But people tell me we should keep it like this because we're trying to give every kid an opportunity. But will every kid get this opportunity really to play? But it started for me when we just started giving participation trophies to everybody. Let's just let everybody, and you get a trophy. Mm-hmm. Hey, you might have came to 2 games. You might not even play, but you're going to get a trophy. You're going to get a trophy. So now everybody feels the entitlement part, and everybody wants to be entitled, and it's all about me. So, I tell people, don't kill me for this. This is about to get deep. If your kid transfers 5 high schools, 17 AAU teams, doesn't stick with any trainer, and had no adversity, and you as a parent go talk to all these coaches and it's everybody else's fault. At some point, whether it's their college career, they do get to play college, or it's in life, they're going to run from everything because everything is adversity. I get it. It does happen. Sometimes we all want to run. Even as adults, sometimes I face it. I be, oh, golly, why? But we learn, though, because my dad used to tell me, hey, son, if you don't make the team, man, it is what it is, man. Start raking leaves or cutting grass or do something. Find something to do. Don't sit in my house crying and complaining. And our parents also, man, let me tell you this. I played for Coach Rogers, who's the head coach now at Westlake High School. Been knowing Rogers since I was 12 years old. Man, I was in Coach Rogers used to coach us, Welcome All Park. Man, I missed a layup in the game, man, and Rogers was going off on me, man, and I was having a bad day. So I gave this man a look and everything. We get ready to go into halftime, man. So we get ready to walk to the locker room, man. My dad grabbed my jersey and said, son, if you don't apologize to that man for the face you made, we going home right now. You can give him his jersey. And he said, you better do it in front of everybody. Parents now, your coach was wrong. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I've seen people come out of stands, man, and talk to a coach during the course of the game or try and meet them on the way to the locker room. What are we doing here, people? Like, for coaches to have to say, well, you know what, man, your son can go play somewhere else then. Like, I'm just done. And you know what? It was sad too. What we're not really talking about as a culture, man. We killing these referees too, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We yell and complain and cry about flag on the play. We yell and cry and complain about how referees are bad, but the good ones we used to have, we don't ran them off because we screamed, yelling.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Who said this? I think it might have been Frank Martin. One coach said this, man, how can you be at a 9 o'clock AAU game in the morning? This referee ain't making but $20 and you cussing them out. What? Sit back and the parents enjoy. You know what y'all can do as parents? You can go to your kids' game, whatever sport they play. Be a parent.
Yes.
And when they get in the car, tell them, I loved watching you play. Love watching you play. Leave it at that. Let their coaches coach. That's what these kids need. You know, and I tell people this all the time. It's a double-edged sword for me because, you know, we talk about this. What we talk about? We talk about mental health, right? We talk about it. So I get it from both sides because we had mental health problems too back in our day, but we didn't have social media. You know what I'm saying? Because these kids wouldn't understand the power right now. But also, what we don't understand, you know, because we're still trying to live in the 70s and 80s. We also don't understand these kids don't have a lot because how many of y'all let y'all kids outside the house and go down the street and play right now without being worried? These kids can't go outside. Well, but they can't go outside either.
Right.
Because folks kidnap.
Emotional damage.
Gangs trying to get a hold of them. You know, the sex trafficking stuff going on, like everything going on in the world. We didn't know about that. Now, you know, kids are getting kidnapped when we was coming up too. But everything else that's going on and the way we, you know, for me, I hate going home watching the news, man. I hate going home watching the news, man. It's so sad, man. It's like, dang, we're showing all this at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Kids are sitting there watching it. Like, I hate to watch it with my 7-year-old. And then I hate that she couldn't do the same thing I did. She couldn't ride her bike 2 neighborhoods over, man. We can't even be outside in our front yard with me being comfortable. The stress on them too. Then also these kids whose parents want them to be professional athletes, the stress you putting on them. How in the world do you wake up a 9-year-old for a 5 a.m. workout, bring them back at 12 a.m., have them playing in their league games with this stuff, then they doing this, then you tell them to go home and do 1,000 push-ups, to wake up and do the same thing over again. Man, I would lose my mind. Let these kids.
Sure.
These parents be asking me, I train these babies, man. Hey, coach, man, I need to get them in the gym with you 5 days a week. Sir, my pros ain't in the gym with me 5 days a week. Why are we doing this kid like this? Come here twice, maybe 3 times as a 9-year-old, maybe at the most, but 5 times. And then we got these people out here telling these parents, yeah, I need to see him 5 times. Yeah, because they trying to go out and spend their money on Friday and Saturday night. That's why they want to see your son Monday through Friday.
Yeah, Cam, because even with Coach Abe and the leagues they play in, and me and my other host Skip and Cam, we went to some of these football tournaments. And like I told Abe, I said, I've seen parents pull up and it's like they're on their last leg and they're investing all this money into a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. And I'm like, what if this kid doesn't make it? Even
or if he
talking
want
to
to play
Coach,
another sport.
yeah, even talking to Coach Abe, and believe me, I've seen them whoop some tail. I ain't taking nothing from them. But they haven't lost a game in 3 years, Cam, and we should have been like, how y'all gonna deal with the adversity when this kid comes to a high school program that is not as good, or he fall out of love with the game? One of my other questions was, just like you were stating with the parents, what are your going rates when you're training these kids and when you identify to let this paranoia, as you say, hey, I'm not going to take your money because this is where your kid is.
Yeah, oh man, I have no problem with saying that. Them parents know from the look on my face. I mean, for me, for a 45-minute session, I charge $60, and that's pretty good for. I know people out here, and no knock against them, but if you charging these folks 150 and for 45 minutes or an hour, I mean, get your money, but that's kind of wrong. You know, like you because you got to look at it. But once again, I get it because they got to pay a gym fee or whatever else they're doing, and but you got to figure out what you want as a parent, pretty much. I'm straight up and honest and forward with these parents because if your kid can't make a layup after a 30-minute one-on-one with me, I'm probably going to tell you like, hey, you work with them a little bit, bring them back. But if you want to keep going, I got a plan for them. But I'm just letting you know. Like, and also every kid I'm training ain't going to make it to college. I ask the kids a lot, like, hey, how many of y'all love basketball? And if you raise their hand, how many of y'all like basketball? Okay, I'm fine with that. How many of y'all want to play in high school? How many of y'all want to play in college? How many of y'all want to play in the NBA? That's cool with that. Play to have fun. See, I see that comment down there. There's a lot of pressure on kids. It is because we see a kid and say, oh, man, he going to play in the NBA or she going to play in the WNBA. And you've already started that stress train because that's what they thinking got to happen. And I'm going to disappoint mommy or daddy if I don't make it. So I got to go even crazier. Like for me, why do we rank kids? Why? I mean, when they get to high school, I'm fine with ranking. Like, you got to figure out that. But, like, Steph Curry wasn't ranked. Michael Jordan got cut. Look what we're talking about. So your kid could be the number one kid in America. When he get to college, he hits some adversity or he's playing in front of, I mean, not playing, but he's playing behind a kid who was number one in the nation 2 years ago and ain't playing, and we start rank. I'm like, man, I had a parent. It's funny, they called me and everything because they looked me up online. They were coming down here. I forgot from what state, just for like a weekend for AAU. And the dad called me and was like, hey, Coach Cam, we've read so much about you, heard, and we want to do this, we want to do that. And man, my son is the number one second grader in whatever state they were coming from. I was like,
nope.
What does that mean to me?
Second grader.
Yeah, I said that don't mean because he's ranked or in somebody's thing. Because do we also know that some of these people who are ranking these kids, if you pay them a little extra money, they're gonna move your kid up in the ranking? Like, I don't care about that.
I asked the question to Coach A because in the Little League football, they playing on a national stage and they got rankings of these kids. And I'm like, how are we ranking a 5-year-old as the best quarterback in 5? I mean, y'all do what you do. I wonder now. I went out and seen someone play, and I'm like, okay, that make a lot of sense. But still, how we ranking this kid? And it might look good on paper, but this kid sees this now. Where does his ego go? How can a Coach Cam coach him when he's been told over 5, 6, 7, 8 years old that he is the number one player in the state of Georgia at this said position or this made up ranking that y'all bestowed on this kid? I've always wondered this. And then, like, I'm gonna give you a fun fact that I remember, and you're gonna know the name. Ron Curry was the first player I heard that was ranked number one in football, I think. Am I right, Cam? And ranked number one Mr. Basketball in Carolina. Got to the University of North Carolina, and his career was nothing. It had me looking at North Carolina basketball and football. He did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I think he ended up going to play for the Raiders and playing wide receiver, but it was like mediocre at best.
Yes.
He got a free education. At best. That's what he got. But that's what get me in. I miss with Coach Abe all the time about, hey, his team, and he has a lot of, I'm talking about he has some talented players. top to bottom on that team, but eventually they're gonna disperse.
Yeah.
And how they gonna deal with the adversity when it goes to that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean,
Good.
that's part of the problem though, man. We putting so many of these expectations in, like, you know, a word people use very loosely, but I don't try and use it, is they a pro. They a pro. They a pro. They a pro. They're a good basketball player. I don't know how far they can go because I just don't know. Because you got a kid who, you know, is in fourth grade who probably dominating the fourth grade circuit. And then all of a sudden, when they get to, let's just say, eighth grade, everybody's caught up with them. And how much have they really worked? Because they're not looking behind them, because I'm number one. Man, you know, everybody. And then all of a sudden they get to eighth or ninth grade, and that little kid Malcolm they used to beat on, now he's 2 inches taller than them and better. How do you deal with that? Whoa, hold on, what happened? Because I wasn't working, now this kid was working. Because I tell my kids, I train all the time. You do know how many states there are in America, right? Mm-hmm. So because you're the best kid on your block, wait till you go see a kid in DC who lives in the hood and walking to school and gunfight and all this other stuff going on, and he sees you pull up with a Tesla with your folks, with your nice little Under Armour book bag and shoes, and he ain't got nothing. Man, he finna chomp on you. You better be ready. You better be ready. And then let's add, you know, in football, because you know, American football, they don't play that in Europe. They play soccer, so we don't got nothing to worry about that. You got that to worry about with basketball. You got a lot of kids who playing basketball all over the world right now, because a lot of people watch it, and then people are scared of, you know, they say the violence with football. But like for me, I mean, football taught toughness. Now I ain't gonna lie, I quit when I was 11. Boy, I was an option quarterback, and a kid came around and hit me, man. When I woke up, man, I took my helmet off and walked to my mama. So we can go to the car. He said, if you quit, you know, your dad ain't gonna let you play again. I said, yep, I know.
What?
And went straight to the car. Didn't look again.
Coach, we got a question for you here, Coach, from Kent. How you feel about the NIL and the transfer portal in the basketball realm?
So transfer portal as far as like high school, college?
College, when they're in college basketball right now.
Okay. Well,
or as a whole.
Yeah, I go college first. I think they deserve it, but I think it's a little bit too much money, and I think it ain't an education piece for the kids, because I can't name names, but you know, I know a lot of college basketball coaches, a lot. I've known kids right now who are trying to figure out how the IRS is going to get off their back because they took the NIL money and went crazy and weren't told to hold on to some of that money to pay their taxes.
And so in essence, with that, you do have to pay taxes on this NIL money.
It's like an income.
Okay.
So it's on the books that you got 1.5 coming to you.
Yeah.
And then I've also heard stories of these companies telling they're gonna pay this money and they don't pay them nowhere near.
Yeah. Yeah.
The transfer portal has messed us up because the transfer portal has always been here. Let's put it that way. But the problem is, once again, with social media and everything else, it's messed us up because now the kid in basketball who averages 2.5 and ain't getting no playing time, he thinks he can put his name in the portal and somebody's going to come get him. But he don't want to go down to the Division II level of Division III. Or NAIA, he wants to be a Division I.
Yeah.
And then the high school kids, you know, I get the coaches why they got to take somebody out the portal first, you know, and people aren't understanding that because, you know, it's a job for these coaches. They got to feed their family. They get fired. So if I'm taking a high school kid who's not ready to play in football or basketball, and I'm expecting him to go out there and do something he doesn't, how you think I look? I could get fired. So I'm going to take a kid. I'm going to take a defensive back from like Dion. I'm going to take a defensive back from Florida who I know can play, and I'm going to bring him to Colorado, and I'm going to give him more reps. I'm going to take a kid in the basketball portal who might average 8 or 9 at, you know, like Kentucky. but I'm trying to get him at North Carolina A&T or somewhere. He probably gonna come in there and destroy. But there's also a flip side of that. Some of these dudes who transfer from these high schools and thinking they're gonna go down and play, and then they don't, and they trying to figure out what happened.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's caused a backlog on the high school kids now. So then that's why, I don't know if y'all noticed, but that's why so many now supposed post-grad schools are popping up all over the world. You know why? Because that's another way to sell Cam parents an idea that he still got a chance to play basketball, but it's going to cost you $10,000 for him to come here.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents
what about the? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Cam.
No.
Go ahead.
Your parents want to pay that money because they still believe you want the dream.
Yes.
So it's another dude making money off of us.
And then what about the reclassification thing? I've seen that over the recent years starting to pop up too, where a kid is getting reclassification, and I'm like, well, what is that? You gonna basically hold him back a year, or just for sports? I'm confused. I'm really confused about that also.
That's another thing that's been going on forever. It's just crazy now that parents do it all the time. When we were coming up, they would do it at a younger age, second, fourth grade. You know, kind of hold them back then. You know, but some of the kids need it though. I ain't gonna lie to you, because if you got a kid whose birthday falls on a certain date and they're younger than their class, they kind of need that. Also, we don't know, but some of the parents, you know, okay, man, now Malcolm, he's a rising sixth grader. He's ranked top 75, but you know, a couple people in his class I want him to be better than, so I'm just gonna hold him back or send him to a private school and then bring him back on the scene. You know, and the kids he's with are now in 11th grade. He's a 10th grader. You know what I'm saying? Like they've been doing it. It's so many ways that everybody's trying to make it for their kids to get NFL or the NBA. But like I said, we're not pushing baseball. We're not pushing golf. We're not pushing track. You know, we're not even like I talked to a prominent state trooper in Illinois who was getting ready to work with the FBI. He said, man, you know what the best police officers and state troopers are, Cam? And I was like, nah, I don't know. He's like, the kids who played sports in college, in high school and everything. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, because Tommy in Iowa, who went to, like, we'll say he went to Nebraska or anything, he's been around African Americans, he's been around Caucasians, he's been around Asians. He learns adversity while he's playing the sports. So he's the dude who can stop somebody at 12 o'clock at night and know how to handle the situation. Instead of a dude who's never been around some other culture or had adversity or been around. He said the athletes make the best ones. But he said, how many coaches push that to be a mayor or a doctor or a police officer? We don't push that, man. We push sports.
Yeah.
Sports are a way for you to get the education. Sports are a way for you to learn a lot of life lessons. Sports are a way for a guide to life. Because I use basketball and what I've learned in the basketball world. It was a life lesson for me. I learned how to win. I learned how to lose. I learned how to handle adversity. I learned how to not, when I won, like be all crazy or going crazy in people's face because somebody lost. And I also learned when I lost, like be able to take it. Like you just lost. We don't teach either one of those, because now, like, you can go to a youth game or high school game, whatever. You know, like some of these coaches lose and they taking their stuff off and running to the locker room. They ain't shaking hands with nobody. They don't want to talk to nobody. What are we teaching the kids in the line? What are they supposed to shake hands? Because at the end of the day, at the high school level, it's a fun sport for these kids. Like, are these kids getting paid? Are you getting paid that much money? Like, you getting a stipend. And on the second part of that, like the parents, y'all run up here to these high schools and everything. You're going off on these coaches and all that stuff. But you do realize, Johnny White said this best. You do realize I spend more time with your kid during my season than you do. And I'm getting paid on 2 pennies a day. Because when you break down their stipend, $2,000, $3,000 stipend for being at the school all this time, practice, You probably got to wait around for some of the parents to come pick their kids up. You probably got to take a couple kids home. You probably got to pay for a couple kids' meals. Then they doing it in the spring again when it's springtime. So a lot of these youth coaches like yourself, myself, a lot of these guys and ladies are doing it for the love of the game, what they learned to give it to your kids. Y'all don't look at it like that.
Okay. Now we got another question. Who should be advising these kids to take the money? Cam, the parents or the coach, in your opinion?
In the college level?
Yeah, the college level. Because I know that it just got passed here in Georgia, which I think is gonna cause a problem. It's gonna be a problem. We've talked about that, but Miss Deadpool had that question for you. And I got one more after that one.
Yeah, well, at the college level, I think once these kids get these NIL deals, the coaches got a lot going on. I think the misconception with college coaches, y'all think they just sit around and wait and go to practice.
Oh, they recruiting, they coaching, watch film. Yeah.
They fundraising, they go into the alumni base, like they got a full day. And people think they're just sitting in their office like we doing right now, just looking at each other. And then, like we got them the deal. Y'all got to figure out. But I know a lot of these colleges too have advisors on campus, and a lot of these colleges bring people in. Yeah. But see, the problem is, the parents can advise, the coaches can do a little something like this, but whose account is it going to?
It's real.
Because if I'm at USC and my mom in Atlanta and that money is deposited into my account, how much say did my mama got to call me? Hey, Cam, you got better hold on to that money, and I'm at USC. Man, please. A 17, 18, 19-year-old with $1.5 million into an account, and you see it, cha-ching, shoot. Mm-hmm. Man, you're going to spend money on everybody. Because how much financial literacy are we doing at the high school level? How much wood shop? Remember we had that stuff when we was coming up, right? We learned. Yeah. Do they have that anymore? No. Because parents complain. I want my kid to learn more math and do this. Hey man, I ain't the greatest math person. I'm gonna let you know that right now. But I mean, none of that calculus stuff is working in my bank account.
No, it's not.
It's real.
No, it's not. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's the part I think we're missing. And even when I seen this NIL thing kind of pass in Georgia, I was like, this might cause a lot more bad than good. For example, hypothetically, you got a prominent quarterback at a high school, and now George want to give him a haircut. For you know what I'm saying? Do you see in the inner city what might can transpire with some of this? Or a parent that's staying in I gotta say this to Cam, everybody me and staying in Wildwood. Now you you know what I'm saying? Are we pimping the children now, or what's really gonna happen? Or is it gonna stop a program that's in the Alpharetta area coming down, plucking a kid out of the inner city? I mean, is that going to stop? There's a lot of factors that's going to go into this. I mean, it's crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy too is if you look at it, it's a lot of the old dogs who mad at NIL deal. I see this question down here. Is it fair to say the transfer has caused parity in college football? It has, but it's also caused Nick Saban almost lose his mind because now he's not able to keep all them 5 stars that he had backing up people because I can go somewhere else and get the same amount of money and play.
Yeah.
And play. But now so now it's the Nick Sabans, the Dabo Sweeneys. Man, these kids shouldn't get NIL deals. But you weren't saying that when they was winning national titles, so you're not getting nothing. Let's talk about when the cafeteria closes. Jalen Rose said it best. Dude, I'm walking in Foot Locker when we played at Michigan, and my jersey up there. But I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to eat dinner tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What? So they need to give the kids some sort of money. They do. I don't know if they need to give them some of the kids the amount of money they're getting, but they do deserve something because these TV deals, these shoe deals are getting crazy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the kids are not seeing any of that. So like you made a great comment, who pimping the kids? We've been pimping the kids because these coaches are going to these luxury houses and these kids are going back to their dorm room. And the coaches over here barbecuing and eating good steak and they kid in the dorm trying to figure out what he going to eat.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't fair because who's really doing and throwing their body out there? It ain't Nick Saban.
Nope.
It's
No. No.
It's not.
who might have a torn ACL or NCL, but guess what? MCL. When they tear that or their career is done, what happens? That kid gets thrown to the wayside. And where Nick Saban? Still this big old mansion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's always been like this. But like that's why, like the people who are still thinking like we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, still always like those. We got to evolve and figure
Yes.
out this is what it is now. But we got to figure out a way to make it fair, make it see what's going on, and then also help everybody involved in this. Because, like you just said, some of these kids are getting these NIL deals too. They coming from next to nothing,
Yes.
and they're picking some of these schools just off of
The
the money.
Yeah.
Bro, one of my good friends. He's at a college. He called me and said, bro, we just left a kid's house. And I said, man, dang, you sound depressed or something. What happened? He said, man, we sit down with the kid and his mom, and the kid ain't saying nothing. So before we even go in to give the spill about what we can do for him, mom goes to telling us what the other colleges have been offering and what type of money they can get. So what can y'all do for us? So they told her, hey, if they're giving you all that, you might as well take it because we can't. See you later. So now people are, they're going to schools just for the money. It ain't about what kind of degree I can get, what the lifestyle where I'm on campus at can do, who's at this position or what's going on. It's just, man, how much money am I getting? Mama, I don't care.
And the thing about it is, Coach, that for a lot of these kids, man, this day and age, that's what they want to go to do whatever they do to get is money. So if they get it prematurely or, at a time where they're not already having a lot and they come into this big lump sum, it's going to change them. The way of thinking, the way they go about stuff is definitely going to change them. I do know a few kids that, got recruited in football and could have went to top-notch schools, not saying that they didn't choose one, but the one that they chose, some of them, was because it was offering the most NIL. So my question to you is with that, do you think that hurts college basketball, with these kids getting the money straight coming out? Will it, cause a kid to say, hey, I'm just going to try to go pro or I'm going to go overseas and play? And I know, like, I college basketball is probably not top 2 or 3 on my list as far as sports. But, come March Madness, man, I see how hard them kids working. And they doing it at that point in time for free. So you see all just hard blood, sweat, and tears out there, So how do you feel just as the years to come, how it's going to do with the NIL for college basketball?
Well, I mean, you can see it right now with that COVID year and everything else was going on, NIL money. Like it were kids who ain't leaving school.
Facts.
I'm a 7th year senior, but I'm getting this NIL money, so I'm not leaving school yet because I'm not probably going to play pro. I'm not even going to make the amount of money
that
y'all giving me right now. So I'm going to stay here and get this money until there's none left. So that's caused a backlog with everything else because there have been dudes who, your time is now. Like you should try and go out there, but they know I can't get no regular job. I'm not going to make the NBA. Europe ain't paying me this type of money, so I'm gonna just go ahead and stay here another year. If they allow it, and if they don't, I'll transfer somewhere else. And the players are good because what's happening? These coaches got to win now because we are a society now where you got to win now. And if you don't, guess what? You're gone. And when they fire you, depending on what happens, you might not get another job. And how can us as coaches, if we're in the college realm, how can we go home to our family and we're fired? Because they're also, these coaches are putting their life into 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. You know, so it's just so much going on, man. And it's like, I want us to just get back to the point where, you know, we're telling kids the truth. We're sending them to the right places because, you know, I want this kid to go here. And then when they graduate, I'm like, man, what you get your degree in? General studies. What is like, what are you trying to do now? So now you kind of a little bit behind if you want to get into go, you know, what you call it, and it just happens.
Wonderful,
So,
Cam. That's wonderful.
I appreciate
it. Now I'm gonna ask you one crazy question. You ain't gonna see this crazy. How you feel about where we grew up at? The neighborhoods and surrounding where we was able to go to Adams Park and just hoop all day and do whatever. I was telling Abe, I've been to some of these baseball facilities, some of these football baseball parks rather, with the turf fields and stuff. And in the inner city, we don't have these things like we used to. And why did you choose to go out to an Alpharetta area to set up shop? What you got going on? In fact, me and you had that conversation 6 years ago, and I know that you know we had this conversation. And you told me. And, now, when you get my question, then we let Mr. Powell you get his. But I want you to come on with it.
All right, so man, when we grew up, man, it was tough. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. But it built toughness with inside us though, because going to Adams Park, playing at Melvin Drive outside with grown men who were drunk, beating on you. Yeah, and hey, listen, man, boy, you get drove into that fence, man.
Sure.
Fools will tell you that ain't a foul, young man. Keep playing. Man, like I saw a dude get shot at Melvin, and we all out there playing. I was like, oh my goodness gracious. So yeah, dog, yeah, Sandtown, like all the places. But you know what was crazy though? We drove all over the place for games.
Yes.
Man, I can remember on a Saturday, man, boy, somebody would come pick you up at like 9. And you wouldn't get back home until 9. And you don't went to 4 different parks. You don't found out where your high school drill team and all that, the band was practicing. You don't went over there for like an hour. You know, y'all might be throwing the football right here. Then you go here and hoop or whatever like this. You might be at somebody's house just sitting, and all of a sudden everybody like, man, let's go outside. And you had to go, whatever. But it taught me a lot. And I love the atmosphere we had where we could connect with, like, you know, the Westlake, the Mays, the Banneker, the Creeksides, the Thero, like just on our side, Doug, you know, because folks live with us went to Doug. We all were people. One thing I can tell you though, when we played against each other on that field, on that court, it was a rivalry. But when the minute we walked off, we was good. Nowadays, they ain't got that. They like, I hate him. I don't want, man, why? Well, it ain't that serious. You know, it ain't. The second part of your question, though, why did I come up here? And people have asked me this a lot, man. And let me say this. I love where I came from. I love Southwest Atlanta. I love Atlanta, period. You know, people ask me about coming to South Fulton and everything. The problem with that is, man, I'm people with everybody. I love everybody. But y'all got to understand, I do this for a career. I feed my family off of this. Stop asking me for discounts. Stop calling me saying, hey, you know, can you train my kid for this? My price is my price. It just is. I'm not coming to your job expecting you to give me a discount because I want to pay you full price for whatever you got going on because I support you. That's why I can't come back to South Fulton, because I know everybody over there knows me and they're going to expect a handout. So, you know, at the end of the month or the beginning of the month, when you're supposed to pay me, you're going to come up with some sad story or pay me half because we boys. I don't come to your place and pay you half because we boys.
You can't tell your landlord you're gonna pay half.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I can't tell my phone company, hey, my people ain't pay me, so can you just keep my phone on for like a couple more days? And then I gotta chase you. Cause
that right now.
You know how we are in our community.
You got some experience.
Yeah, you know how we are in our community. Like pay me. I love y'all. And you never know, something could happen on the back end. Well, maybe I do a free clinic and, you know, I want your kids, whatever like this. But what I can say up here, these people pay on time.
And what they're supposed to, and the amount they're supposed to pay.
And ask, do they need extra? Or can I help you with something? And say, hey, listen, man, it's been times where, man, I was blown away one time, and I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. I trained this girl one time, and her dad, he said, man, that was probably some of the best training I've seen for my daughter. He like, give me your link so I can sign up for some more, right? I said, oh, okay, all right, cool. So when anytime anybody signs up with me, I get the notifications on my phone. Now, mind you, I told y'all my price is 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This man signed up for 30. And you got to pay the price right then and there.
30 sessions.
I said, whoa, this man booked me for like, 2 months. Whoa, thank you, sir. See, the people who know us, what would have been done is, hey, I'm going to come to the next one. I'm going to pay you when I get there.
He paid for 30.
Off the rip.
That's hard.
I'm like, my phone just, I'm like, man, what in the world? It's a 911 or something? I'm trying to look. This man paid me for 30. I'm like, that's why I'm out here. I would love to come back to South Fulton. And I talked to the mayor of South Fulton about it. But I'm like, I'm kind of skeptical because I love my people, man. I do. But I also know how we are.
But I'm
going to answer this last question for y'all, and I'm going to get out the way, man. I'm going to pass the mic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. High school seniors sitting out championship games due to early commitments, like we're seeing college players sit out bowl games to preserve their draft positions. High school level, I don't think seniors going to sit out like that, because the early commitments for high school kids in football and basketball too, it ain't as serious as them kids sitting out them bowl games. Because if I ain't playing for the national championship at the college level for the NFL money about to come, I'm not trying to get hurt. These college kids have 4, 2, 3 years. And for the love of what they've done for those 4 years in their career, I think they're going to do it. But I do agree with you at the college level. It ain't no more about the commitment, the blood, sweat, and tears of my dudes over 3 to 4 years. It's now I'm going into my profession. That's all it's about. But it's funny to me that, you know, the sports that we are shining at, you know, like the NBA, they try to have that rule where, like, you know, guys got to go to school, everything like this. But it's funny that we can get drafted to the military if we go to war or anything at 18, but these 18-year-olds can't go try and play a sport that they want to make that money. So that's my last thing, man. I appreciate y'all. Coach, I gotta come see your football team, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll link up. I'll get my info to you through Derek.
Yeah, I'm about to send my number right now and all that. We're gonna link up.
And I just want to say I appreciate you, and I love the way you keep impacting all these young kids and older kids' lives. Keep it up, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, D. So thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Later.
Good deal.
Yeah, that was Killer Cam.
Killer Cam.
Good friend of mine, man. And it's crazy how I heard about him. I said, this little kid over at Westlake. Well, Cam is older than us, but we was in probably the 9th grade. I know I was in the 9th. You was coming to May. You was in the 8th at the time, and they said this kid dropped 60. And you haven't heard of it.
He was around in that old, like, Michael Maddox and them age, something like
that.
Yeah,
so Westlake and Michael Maddox, they went back and forth, and Cam was the killer on that team.
That's hard.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody knew, okay. So yeah, we're gonna get up out of here. We're gonna let you get your last take in, because it was a good show. You know, we got some knowledge.
Great show.
We didn't get our sports takes, but this is really what I want to focus on anyway, is our youth and bringing these coaches in that are impacting. And like you said, just like Abe said, we have to go out to these other areas, because in the inner city where we need these things. And again, just like Johnny White and Route King, we got to get this petition signed so we get this new field up there for them. I know out there in Wade Walker Park, they get some new fields, turf fields built for them to practice and play on also, so we can generate this money. and filter it in. But even if can I get you up here for your last take?
You up there?
Oh, I got it there. I didn't even put me up there first. But hey, we playing one. But anyway, man, I want to say, hey, man, thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Cam joined us tonight. Cam snuck out of town on us. We didn't know where Cam was at. Shout out to Skip and everything he's done for the show. Also, and the knowledge we keep trying to bring every weekend and week out. So I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna let A speak his piece because Lambo did something and we didn't get to this because of what we got. But he Miss TJ, could you put Abe up there for? Thank you.
You gonna get better at it, my boy. Shouts out to Kel, man, enjoying this time, you know, as newlywed. Enjoy, my boy. Shouts out to Skip, man. I did kind of miss you heckling me about my birthday week. But my last take, man, I just want to first off again thank Killer Cam for coming on and sharing his knowledge of the game, his love and his passion for training these kids. And yeah, man, long story short, man, we went up to Greenville, South Carolina, played the Royal Knights. I think they from Rock Hill, South Carolina, actually. Got the victory, 62-6. Great game played. Shouts out to Ball Hog, Makai, Zayden, and definitely my lineman, but definitely just the whole team for riding up there, getting out the car, playing the game, smacking them, getting back in the car, getting on back to the A. I just really appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. We're gonna keep it going, and I just hope to see everybody next week.
Appreciate it, y'all. We out. And like
Gone.
Kev always say, keep your beer cold and your wings in the